Okay, first up today, Nick Hare with YoJanus. Welcome, Nick.
Good morning, thank you for having us. I'm Nick, this is Matthew Hayden, our other partner Seth Ableton is in the back, and we're YoJanus. So last summer, sitting where I imagine all great ideas take place at the bar at Salty Mike's, we were having a long conversation about good and bad experiences we'd had in rental homes and with property management companies and landlords. In a roundabout way, we discovered that there's no site out there, no rateyourprofessors.com for landlords, no Glassdoor for the rental housing industry, where you could go to find an extra layer of information about these rental experiences before signing a lease. And so with that, we decided to create one. YoJanus is a rental review platform where you can go to find this information. And who is Janus? Janus is the Roman god of transitions and doorways. In Roman mythology, Janus guides you through your decision-making processes in life. With that in mind, YoJanus will guide renters from the end of one lease to the beginning of the next. So, last August, we set out to understand the problem. So we just started canvassing renters. And when I say canvassing renters, we, in the August heat of Charleston, knowing that it was transition time, we biked around the peninsula and chased down U-Hauls with a beta version of our survey and asked people, if you'll take 2 minutes of your time and fill out this survey and talk to me about what you think about this idea, about the questions, about the style. Let me know if you think we're crazy. I'll help you move that couch. I'll help you move that mattress. I'll help you move everything you've got if you'll sit here and give me some feedback on this. And after a couple weeks of moving furniture and losing weight, we realized that maybe we're not crazy. The responses we got from college students, from their parents, from young professionals, the response was overwhelming. People would love to know whether they could expect a fair security deposit back, what the utilities would be like in a house before they signed up. But we also found that there are over 111 million people in America that have this problem. And that we're right, there's no large-scale database of in-depth tenant reviews out there for those people to vet property management companies and rental houses. But we also found that these people also don't understand their rights and obligations very often, yet they want to see more transparency in the market. If you haven't looked for a rental home lately, these are the sites that you would go to. These are the industry's leaders online. None of them house in-depth tenant reviews. You can find out the square footage of an apartment or whether they can have a dog, but you can't find out whether the area is dog-friendly. Our solution to this problem is a rental review platform, a user-generated database of tenant experiences where you can vet other experiences and find out what to expect under roof and under contract before signing a lease. If that sounds familiar at all to you, then maybe you recognize some of these icons. In 2016, over 93% of online consumers read reviews of products before purchasing online. This kind of trend in modern consumerism has led to the success of Glassdoor, Yelp, and these others that you use on a daily basis before going to lunch. In the future, people will say, YoJanus, should I sign this lease? Maybe with our local downtown landlord, Bill Murray. If you were to search for landlord William Murray in our database, you would find a total aggregate score, our YoJanus proprietary score, of what people thought about their experiences. Within that score, you can find unique raw data entries and simple binary metrics. Would these people rent this home again? Would you rent from this company again? Did you feel safe in this area? How much of your deposit do you feel like you got back? We also are collecting other relevant data points, all based upon canvassing of property management companies, tenants, and homeowners. We're also collecting best and worst memories. The one here, fictionally, says that they were thankful that Bill not only fixed the AC in the heat of summer, but also got rid of all the ghosts. You can imagine that the non-fictional version of these best and worst memories are actual marketing gold that stories you cannot create. In this space, like I said earlier, we have over 111 million people renting across America. Over 80 million of those people, are under 45 years old. These are the 93% of consumers that we talked about earlier, the people who check Glassdoor, who check Yelp before making their daily purchases. In this space, we have 252,000 property management companies. All these numbers are expected to grow on an average of 2.2% according to IBIS and Census Bureau data. So our value added to tenants This is a free platform that you can use, similar to platforms that you use to make your other decisions, to vet and learn from previous tenants without having to meet them in person. Learn about their experiences under roof and under contract. Make an educated decision when choosing your next home. We also, because we saw that people don't understand their rights and obligations, we're going to use this as an educational platform to educate tenants on local state laws, on what you really deserve and what you are also obligated to contribute to the contractual situation. So we're value added here for homeowners, landlords, and property managers. This is objective third-party data feedback, information that they don't get today. This is also, we're already seeing in Charleston, where we've been collecting data for the last couple of months, competitive advantage and reputation management, as acknowledged by, reputation management is the way it was deemed by some property management companies who have already approached us. And we're seeing reduced, we believe and know that this will lead to reduced acquisition costs as people seek out these great property managers and great homes. So with that, thank you. We're YoJanus, and rate your rental and your landlord.
I made a mistake when we first opened up. We're going to be 10 minutes of feedback, not 7. So get that microphone warmed up. What do you think, panelists?
Nick, great presentation. I thought you hit a lot of really good points, especially you did a really good job of really telling what you do and getting there early. I have, well, number one, I think you got to get in there how you get paid. And I mean, for the investors, that's obviously what they're going to, and who's paying you. And are the renters your client, or are the owners your client? So, you know, I think that's.
I'll answer all that. So the revenue is a mixture of premium accounts, largely to property managers, but also to users and tenants in time. API licensing to people like off-campus housing websites or other players in the space who don't collect this information. And also ad sales to other players in the industry, maintenance companies, moving companies, different companies that we've already had reach out to us about trying to use our network. We also have at least 3 other additional streams of revenue that we don't want to talk about on camera yet.
So, all right, so the revenue portion is, all right, first and foremost, great commanding presence. You were clear, engaging. You told a funny story right up front. You had me hooked. I kind of wanted to know, you answered my question about the YoJanus, like what is Janus and why, and I thought it was great. So your presentation style was top notch, well done. Obviously it's 5-minute presentation. I get it that you got to leave some things out but you did hook me. So I'll applaud you that we're both asking the same question next, which is, okay, we believe that this is a thing. Now tell me about the revenue. Tell me more, instead of just saying, you know, I don't know, man. I can't wrap my brain around this. All right, so I'll start with, I'll continue on the revenue portion. And I get it that there's some proprietary things that you don't want to discuss. That's fine. So you had some other companies that do this in other spaces up there. Yelp is the one that, Glassdoor, Yelp, things like that. So I'm in the hospitality business in some of the investments, and we try to manage our reputation on Yelp, but we don't pay Yelp for that. Right?
Yeah, no, so you don't pay Yelp for that. But so property managers don't like Yelp. The reason they don't like Yelp is that Yelp's algorithm is set up for food and bev. It rewards people who are Yelpers. It gives credence to.
I'm not saying that they're a competition to you. I'm talking about the business model.
Okay, cool. So the business model would be more similar to Glassdoor then. This data collection, data sourcing, and then monetization and sales back to your HR department, right? So we've already had property managers reach out to us, and we've begun these initial sales, if you will, to selling premium accounts, selling this quantitative data, these metrics back to them because they don't get this reports today. This is information that they see as a value add, in addition to some other components in the website, such as the ability to respond to reviews, to communicate with these tenants, and to digitize a lot of the transactions and communication within our network.
Okay. And All right, so I'll buy that. I was wondering because it sounded to me like premium accounts. The reason that you don't have this type of feedback on, say, hot pads or others is that if it's negative, you're not going to get a listing agent to pay you to have negative information about your company, right? So, all right, so that answers one thing on. The other thing that I wonder about is, I know that it's a big market, I got that, but Yelp and maybe Glassdoor's a little closer to what you guys do, but Yelp happens every day, right? I eat out, I stay in new places, I travel a lot, so Yelp is very important to me. So I'm hitting that site maybe a few times a month as a user, whereas I'm changing over my lease every few years maybe, and could be, do you see my point?
Yeah, absolutely, and that's something that we've addressed. We've talked about with some different VCs and people we've talked to this point. So we have some ideas and some things that we're going to implement to bring more eyeballs to the page longer. One being to, just simple things like blogs and using the stories that we're generating to create humor on the site. Another would be that as companies come into our platform and hold premium accounts, that we start using for the purposes of increased data collection, exit polls, or move-in surveys, move-out surveys, annual surveys, random things like that. So we do have a number of ideas as to how to increase the traffic, because you're exactly right that your average mover moves a lot less than your average lunch eater.
Finally, and I'll pass it back over to Keith. So I like that this is an accountability site. I think that accountability is hot in the market right now. It looked like from the bidirectional arrow that would landlords be able to see the average review would they be able to review tenants?
So that's something that we've had a couple landlords already ask us about. We think that on the backside, in a private login, something that would not be public, that if we were collecting that data, if we're allowing property managers to rate tenants, and it was simple and objective, then it could be a value add to them. However, there are fair housing laws and a lot of liability that comes into, if I say that you're a bad tenant, if I say that you are a bad Uber passenger and it affects your ability to get a ride later today, that's one thing. If I say you're a bad tenant and it affects your ability to find a nice place to live, a safe place to live, now I am potentially in violation of fair housing laws. So that is something that is on the back burner, but there's a lot of tape and
I can see
legislation.
Yeah, Nick, I just have one other thing. One suggestion is, the 111 million, I mean, that's got to be people, not units, right?
That's
so
people,
I would,
43+ million units.
yeah, so I think I would go ahead and do that math in your presentation. And then also, when you talk about property managers, I mean, I was just trying to guess. I mean, if there's 250,000, that seems like a lot for 43 million units. So you might want to do that math too and do what is the average, because my guess is it's way skewed, right? So there's, out of that 250,000, there might be 1,000 gray stars or whatever that are managing multiple thousands of units.
So 90% of that 252 has less than 5 employees. 10% are the gray stars, the enterprise companies. The 90% is our market. Those are the people who see value added to this. The gray stars, we're going to have to source a lot of data to get them to play ball. But the 90% of the market is a big fan.
Right. I would just do that math in your presentation.
Cool. Thank you.
So just to pick up where Keith left off and drive this point further, when you're pitching, and I don't know how much time we got, about a minute. Okay. So when you're pitching, you don't want to leave us doing our own math, right? And poking our own holes and then finding those holes and not being able to address them back with you, right? So I only have 1 minute and 30 seconds, of which I'm probably gonna give 45 seconds back to Keith. And then if I leave this presentation with some unanswered questions, I'm gonna be,
You can email them to me.
well, I can, but now you're asking, well, I guess what I'm getting at is from a pitch standpoint is you're asking me to think, and you're asking me, and oh, by the way, there's 3 other companies after you. So while you have the benefit of being first, and yes, I will remember YoJanus, by the end of it, I'm gonna be exhausted. And that's how VCs and angels, they see multiple pitches, it exhausts them. So I think to Keith's point is hone it down and say, you know what, here's all the big numbers, these are awesome, but this is the exact market that we are going to attack. I saw the bubble chart go down, but to say there are 25,625 firms that we really think we play in that space. Might have been easier for me to wrap my brain around this market about how you guys are going to go do it. I'm over time. So
226,800.
whatever it is.
So Nick, one last comment. Like, I'm always looking for, problem, opportunity, solution, and then ask. I think you nail the first three quickly. And I know this is a little bit different format, but for a real investor pitch, the M's got to be an ask. What are you asking for? Right? So.
Honestly, we're asking right now for community support. Help us get our name out. Please go in and leave some reviews. We just closed our second and third convertible notes to bring our friends and family up over $200,000. We're still not close. We're looking at closing that soon. And then as far as funding, maybe we'll be back for that ask.
Awesome. Great job, guys. I think this is beyond something here.
Thank you very much.